Welcome, everyone. I'm Sandy. I'm Communications Director with Owista Corporation, and thank you for joining us today for AI for Native CDFIs, the 101. We're excited to have Russ Siegel here. He's a veteran AI trainer and also CEO of Sequoia Funds. And we're excited to have him share his AI expertise with all of us. Thank you, Russ.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I know we've got a few more folks who we're expecting, but we're going to go ahead and get started because we only have an hour. And I've got about 3 days worth of material that we need to get through in that time. So I want to make sure that we do that. But first, we've got a little bit of housekeeping. Number one, you're going to get today's slides as a downloadable PDF. So no need to take screenshots and break your hand trying to write down everything. We've got all of this for you. You'll get the link at the end. We also have some cheat sheets for you to download as well. You'll get that link at the end, and that's something that you're going to be able to use in almost any setting, in however you use AI. It's going to have some very valuable little tips in there for you. Some of you may know me as the CEO of Sequoia Fund. See some familiar names here. What you probably don't know is that for over 20 years, I've been a professional speaker and trainer. My company is called Siegel Consulting, and just to make sure we keep things clean, the AI thing has just taken off so much that I have to take vacation days to do that. I'm not doing that under the auspices of Sequoia Fund. In fact, I spoke to my toughest audience last week, and that was my staff. I'll give you a little insight on some of the things they brought up as we go through today. But I've been playing with AI since it first really rolled onto the scene for the public. Of course, by the time it got to the public, it had already been in use for quite a while in coding circles and in the computer world. Those folks have been using it for a long time, and it's been sneaking in. If you use Siri on your Apple device, or if you have an Alexa at home, can't say that too loud. She'll start to wonder why I'm asking her for her. Those are some older forms of AI. They're not quite as smart as some of the AI that we're using today. They're getting smarter. They're going to get smarter. They're going to be easier to use. But I'm also going to show you that you probably interact with AI a lot more than you imagine, or a lot more than you're aware. There are just a lot of instances of AI in our daily lives. So let's jump in. We're going to talk today about what is artificial intelligence. I'm going to lay the groundwork very simply for what is AI. There are several different layers that I want you to be aware of, because as time goes on, we're going to start learning more about those layers and how they affect our lives and our work. And this is being recorded today. You'll get the whole recording, of course, but this is going to be pretty outdated, maybe as early as next week. Things are just moving so fast that we're not going to be able to cover everything, because it's a continuous fight to keep up. We're going to talk about how we can use AI. I'm going to give you a lot of different use cases, some food for thought. Again, in an hour, I'm not going to change anybody's life, but what I want to do is open up the art of the possible. I just want to introduce the art of the possible to you, so that you can see some of the ways you could use AI and start to think about how to implement AI use in your daily life and in your workflow. How do we get the best output from AI? We'll talk about what it is, but we'll also talk about what AI isn't, and how to get the information out of it that you want. And then we're going to go beyond ChatGPT, which really has become the Xerox, the Kleenex, of the AI world. It's just the best known AI out there because it was the first kid on the block. Well, a lot of other kids have moved into the neighborhood, and they're very, very good. I'm going to introduce you to some of those other kids as well. But if you use ChatGPT, I'm going to use ChatGPT interchangeably with AI, throughout the day simply because that's my go-to. That's the one that I use the most, but it's certainly not the only one I use. I found this little snippet from a newspaper. I think this really says it all. This lady, the quote is, I want AI to do my laundry and my dishes so I can do art and writing, not for AI to do my art and writing so that I can do my laundry and my dishes. And I think that really captures it for all of us. We want AI to do those hard things. We want AI to do those unpleasant things. We want AI to free up time for us so that we can pursue the more fun things, the more enjoyable aspects of our work, the more enjoyable aspects of our life. We want AI to tackle those really tough things. And I'm going to point to a few tough things along the line today that I've had AI do that I think has freed up an immense amount of time for me. And I hope that it will do the same for you. So what is AI? It's just the ability for a computer to think and learn and start to do human things, to react in a human way, to talk to us in a more human way, and to learn and understand and deal with new situations. You know, your Google, your Bing, whatever it is that you use to search, those are pretty static. If you search for something today and you search for something, the same thing next week, you're going to get largely the same results because it's just looking at what's out there. It's not really learning from anything. It's going out and pulling hundreds of thousands up to tens of millions of websites into this list of options for you. That's really all it's doing. AI is going to learn as you talk to it, as you interact with it. It's going to learn and it's going to be able to adapt and it's going to be able to give you more information, better output, better results. Artificial intelligence is anything that allows and enables a computer to mimic human behavior. And I really want to stress this, that AI can do anything that a human can do right now, unless you're asking it to lift something, pick something up, do something physical. AI can diagnose diseases. AI can do biomedical research. AI can calculate uh, uh, return trajectories of rockets. AI can plan your vacation. AI can do a lot of things. But there are some things that basic AI can't do. That's when we get into machine learning. Machine learning enables machines to improve with experiences. Machines learning from machines, learning from humans, learning over time from the things that it got right, from the things that it got wrong, which leads us then into deep learning, which is even a smaller subset of machine learning that makes neural networks feasible, which is what we have in our brains. When you smell something and you remember a place where you were when you first smelled that. I mean, I smelled something a couple of weeks ago that reminded me of my grandmother's bathroom when I was a kid. And so those are really what we're talking about when we hear a song and we go, you know what, I think I was 10 years old when I first heard that song. Those are those multi-layer neural networks that AI is going to get closer and closer to as time goes on. And, you know, some people predict it's going to be 2030 before that happens. Some people say 2035. Some people are saying 2027, you know, 2026. The predictions are just all over the place. And I'm not so stuck on predictions about when things are going to happen because I'm really looking more at trajectory. And the trajectory is that we are going to get closer to these things that do more human tasks and think more human like. You use machine learning every day. You are subject to machine learning every day. You just don't know it. If you look in your spam filter, in your Gmail or in your Outlook or whatever email platform you use, your spam filter is using machine learning because it's looking at the things you delete before you ever open them. It's looking at the things that you throw away when you do open them. It's looking at the things that you open it, you don't pay attention to it, you don't really read it, you don't like it, you don't want it. It's looking at the things that you delete, looking at the things that you unsubscribe from. But it's also looking inside those emails and it's looking at words, phrases, cues that tell Gmail and Outlook and others that this may be spam. And it's acting on those cues. It's not just waiting for you to say, this is spam, and click that button. Yes, you do have a button that says junk or spam, but it's not waiting for you. It's learning from you, and it's doing that. But there's another way that machine learning interacts with us. If you have Netflix, okay, I've not seen since 8, but I think this is fascinating. When I scroll through Netflix shows, I see different thumbnails for different shows. When my wife scrolls through, she sees different thumbnails from the ones that I was shown. So here's what Netflix is doing. As you watch shows, as you hover over a show or you click on a show just to get a preview, it's learning about your preferences. Did you respond to the boxing glove thumbnail, or did you respond to the one with the gun in it, or the one that was blue, or the one that had the dog in it, or this or that? Which thumbnails are you responding to? And its entire goal is to get you to watch something. So for everything you watch, for everything you hover over, for everything that you pause on to maybe take it in, learn a little bit more about it, think, is this interesting to me? Every time you do that, Netflix is learning something about you, and it's crafting those thumbnails in a way that is more and more enticing every time you take a look at those. That's machine learning. Deep learning. Does anybody know what this is? If you know what this is, put this in the chat. Um, drop a line in the chat for me. If you've seen one of these, or if you've taken a ride in one of these, yeah, it's a self-driving car. This is the Waymo. Now, a little bit about Waymo. Waymo, all of these things that you see protruding from the car, it's radar, it's LiDAR, it's sonar, this dar, that dar. It's everything that substitutes for human eyes, human experience, and human intuition. Waymo started in California. It is moving east, and it is coming to cities. I think one of the most recent cities that it was tested in was Austin, Texas. It's going to Chicago. They tested it out in Denver, St. Louis, and they're testing it in large cities because big cities tend to have nice east-west, north-south grids. They're set up in a certain way, and so those roads are very easy to learn. But here's the beautiful thing about deep learning. It doesn't just know what Google Maps knows or Apple Maps. It doesn't just know how to get you from point A to point B. It knows that if a road is closed, it's just going to automatically reroute you. Yes, Google Maps can do that as well. But here's what it's going to do as a driverless vehicle. Let's say it pulls up to a road sign that doesn't really know what that road sign says. Maybe the road sign was damaged and it doesn't understand what to do. It can stop. And there is a human behind the car, not in the car, behind the car, and he's sitting in a control room, or she, and that person is going to look at that sign and use human intuition and human experience and say, this is what you do when you come to this sign, this particular sign at this particular intersection. And it tells the car what to do. But it doesn't just tell that car. It's like the Borg. It tells every car in the network, so that any Waymo that pulls up to that damaged sign will now know what to do. What can it do? What can it do? Maybe that sign says no right turn or no left turn. Okay. Now every car in the network understands that. That's deep learning. And that's pretty cool. Let's see, we're also seeing it in agriculture. Several farms in Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa are starting to test machines that will zap weeds and bugs. Now, the beautiful thing about AI, if you don't remember anything else from today, I want you to remember this. AI is good at one thing better than anything else. It's good at pattern recognition. That's why it's so good with email, moving things into junk. It looks for patterns. Well, when it looks at crops, it knows the difference between a pea plant or a carrot and a weed. It knows what the weed looks like at the very early stages. It knows the difference between beneficial insects and insects that can destroy the crops. So as this thing is pulled along down the rows, if you watch a video of these, and there's some out there on YouTube, I highly recommend you go take a look at these because it's really, really cool. What you'll see is that they're just little lights along the ground, just lights, boop, 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 lights along the ground, and those are lasers, and it's zapping the weeds, it's zapping the bugs that shouldn't be there, and it's leaving the good stuff that should be there. Now, what it's not doing, it's not putting chemicals into the ground. It's not putting things on the plants that are going to have to be washed off and things that are going to be harmful, detrimental. So yes, these machines right now, like everything else that's new technology, very, very expensive. They're in the testing phase. We want to make sure they're not killing the carrots and the peas and the potatoes. We want to make sure it's killing only the weeds. So they're very, very expensive. But like everything else in technology, the price is going to come down. So eventually we're going to see these things in widespread use. We're going to see them doing what they do, saving farmers money, saving consumers money, and being healthier in terms of producing more healthy food. So right now it's a cool toy, as a lot of AI is, but we're moving toward more useful ways to implement it. This is the inside. It's a close-up of just a few shelves in an Amazon warehouse. Now, something that you might notice here is that we've got a hair trimming kit. We've got some textbooks here. We've got a chemical down here in a plastic jug in a plastic bag. We've got maybe some software or something up here. One of the really, we got some, looks like we got some toilet paper here, or some wipes. I think it's wipes, maybe wipes. So one of the things you'll notice about this is that none of this makes any sense. There's no reason for the chemicals to be under the textbooks, to be next to the baby wipes. But Amazon tells its AI, look, we've got this really expensive piece of real estate. We want to maximize the use of this real estate. So we're going to give you the space that we have, and you're going to tell us what fits in there. So we've got a space that's, say, 8 inches high by 4 inches wide. What goes in there? AI looks through the inventory and goes, we can put a couple of textbooks in there. So it puts the textbooks in there. The humans don't have to remember where everything is because AI maps all this out. So it will come and it will get up here at the top. It'll get this 1,000-piece puzzle, or it will move the 1,000-piece puzzle and it'll tell the human to grab the baby wipes underneath. So we're seeing this in widespread use in warehousing applications. Now, when these textbooks here are gone, something else will take its place. It may not be textbooks. It may be more baby wipes. It may be software. It may be a hair dryer. It could be a lot of things. So there's always going to be something in that space, and AI is the one that's going to be keeping up with it because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Right now, in some countries, lawyers, and even in the United States, lawyers are getting in trouble with judges for just using AI-generated documents, AI-generated briefs, and it's going to be almost impossible to keep AI out of the courtroom. And so I think we're going to have to find this middle ground where lawyers can use it, accountants can use it, other professionals can use it in a way that that enhances their work, that makes their work more productive, but it's not just, they're not just using it like an AI toaster, pop up, we're going to throw the toast on the plate and there it is. We're seeing it in finance. Oh my goodness. Citibank recently came out with an announcement that if you do not understand and are not willing to use AI, you will not get a job at Citibank. A lot of government agencies are starting to turn to AI. Obviously, it's in technology, it's in telecommunications, um, but it's in hospitality. In fact, we just saw a couple of weeks ago a property. I want to say it was in Singapore, where you would go to check in at the hotel, and there's not a human there. It's basically a McDonald's kiosk, but it's got a human on the other side talking to you through a screen. You don't interact with a human at the hotel. Not sure I'm real comfortable with that yet, but this is the way it's. I wasn't really comfortable with the kiosks at McDonald's, to be honest with you, but this is the way it's going. Taco Bell has had some run-ins with AI at their drive-through. This is pretty cool. If you go to AI, if you go up to Taco Bell and somebody goes, "Can I take your order?" That's probably a human. But if it's very clear, enunciated, very nice, pleasant, hasn't had a bad day, didn't have to deal with screaming kids getting on the school bus this morning, that's probably AI. But some people don't want to talk to AI, even if AI is more accurate in taking your order. And so one guy started to punk the AI drive-throughs at McDonald's. He, in order to speak to a human, he ordered 18,000 cups of water. Well, AI didn't know what to do with that. So they said, hold on just a second, we're going to get you a human. And that's what it did. So he kind of cracked the code. He found a way around talking to the AI. Now, I've not had a problem talking to the AI at Taco Bell. And in fact, down here in the South, we've got a chicken and biscuit chain called Bojangles. And if you're in the South, you know Bojangles. You gotta have your Bojangles sweet tea and chicken biscuit. They have started using AI in their drive-through, and it's super pleasant. Love it. Have not had a bad interaction with it. But again, this is everywhere. It's going to be infiltrating every aspect of our lives. You might have seen the refrigerators that will let you, through an app on your phone, look into your refrigerator and see, are we out of milk? So you're at work, you're putting together a grocery list. You can look into your refrigerator and see, are you out of milk? Well, the next step is you're not going to have to do that. There will be no app on your phone. Your refrigerator will see that you go through 8 gallons of milk a week because you've got hungry teenagers in your house and you're down to a half gallon. Your refrigerator will order more milk. It will put it on a grocery list based on other things you're missing, and it'll order the milk, the cheese, the bread, the whatever it is, ketchup. It will take an inventory and it will take care of your ordering for you. Things will start to show up on your doorstep through Walmart delivery or your local delivery, whatever it is, and you didn't even have to make a transaction. And this is where we're headed. In small businesses, what we're seeing is 3 particular use cases. One is in marketing, where people are using it to draft documents, starting to use it to personalize their marketing and summarize text. We're starting to see it in the product and service development. We've used this at Sequoia Fund, where we've said, we think we want to do this. Give us the good, the bad, and the ugly in terms of creating this new loan product. What can we expect? What are we looking for? Obviously, the prompt was a lot longer than that. It was a lot more formal than that. But as we're creating a program, as we're writing grants, as we're coming up with new loan products, we're using AI to help us in that development. And then in service operations, we are not at the point yet. And I'm just going to say, I'm just going to talk for Sequoia Fund, because you may be at a very different place in the evolution of your Native CDFI. But at Sequoia Fund, we still have a large number of older clients. We have older clients who don't like using email, won't use email, won't go to our website, barely ever use the phone. I mean, they want to walk in the door, they want to talk to a human, they want to make their payment in the office, and that's just it. But we have to be prepared, and we have to start preparing for those students who are in high school, in middle school right now, who in a few years may want to start a business, may want to buy a home, may want to fix up a home, may need a credit builder loan. Wherever they are in their credit journey, we're going to need to be ready for them, because they are going to expect chatbots. They're going to expect to be able to go to our website, expect to go to our Google listing, expect to be able to go onto our social media and chat with somebody in a hurry. So, we're dealing with this generational shift. We don't want to turn off the older clients who are our bread and butter right now because they're the ones who are borrowing the money, but we have to be ready to lend to a new generation. So as we think about this, and look, what I'm telling you, by the way, I want to pause right here just make a statement. I am not an AI expert. The people who are AI experts are developing AI. They're the ones making the sausage. People who claim to be AI experts, a lot of them are out there on YouTube. They're creating content every day. And they're saying, hey, here's a 10-minute video. Look at all the really cool things that just came out from ChatGPT today. That's great. But they're not using it in practice. I'm more of an AI practitioner. I'm on this journey with you. I might be a few steps ahead of you on the path, but we're all in this together. We're learning together. And I think, this started out as a hobby for me. And then I started to really look at ways that we could make the most of this technology. And as we think about that evolution of, hey, this is really cool, to how can I use it, to this becomes part of the team, we need to understand that there are pros and cons. And the pros here I've got in green, it's going to reduce your operational time. I'm going to show you ways that it's going to save you so much time. If you're not using it now, you will be. It's going to decrease human error. It has kept me from making some mistakes. It's going to automate some routine tasks. Now, there's some really cool things coming out with what's called agentic AI that is going to be able to automate a lot of the things that we do every single day. It's going to increase our productivity. It's going to help us deliver better customer service. Again, maybe not for those older people who don't want to deal with chatbots, but certainly for the generations coming up behind them who are going to demand it. It also right now is unclear what the return on investment is. Banks are throwing billions of dollars into AI. They don't really know what they want to get out of it. It's a race, but nobody knows where the finish line is, and nobody knows who they're racing against, and nobody can see their opponents on the other side. When you're in a foot race, you can pretty much tell where people are in the race. Are they behind you, beside you? Are they ahead of you? Nobody knows. But the general feeling in corporate America right now is, if we don't invest in it, our competitors will, and we'll be left in the dust. So we have to do it. Now, we may not know for sure that that's the case, but because that's the way everybody feels, that's what's happening. A lot of the AI systems that are out there right now are very complex. It's hard for people to learn. It's hard for people to adopt. It's hard for people to even think about sometimes. And so that's a little bit scary. And that can be a drawback to implementing AI in your operation. And of course, there's always the notion that they're coming for our jobs. The machines are coming for our jobs. We're going to talk about that in just a second, but I want us to start thinking about AI as a potential team member to augment our human staff, not to replace our human staff. Now, the one thing that I skipped here was the purple. Of course, going back to kindergarten, purple is a combination between red and green. And that's the gray area right here. We just don't know. Right now, there are a lack of skilled workers in AI. How are we going to change that? How are we going to increase our staff's knowledge or increase our staff's comfort level in working with AI and getting them prepared to do what we need to do in the future? Yeah, AI is not coming for our jobs. Maybe if we were coders, maybe if we were graphic designers, maybe it would. In the CDFI world, especially in the native CDFI world, AI is not coming for our job. But somebody who can use AI is going to perform better. They're going to do better. They're going to move faster. They're going to be more productive. And I love this photo. This is a real photo. This was from New Zealand. If you look this story up, it's really cool. This guy is missing both of his legs. I think he lost his legs in battle, and he's working for the railroad. They trained this baboon to run the signals on the railroad, and he worked until he died, which is the dream we all have, right? And so he's working on the railroad all the live long day. And if we can train a baboon to run a railroad signal crossing or run the railroad signals, we can train people like me. And look, I am not a techie. If I can do this, you can do this. What I want to do is use AI to augment my skills, to make me a better performer, so that I'm not setting myself up to be replaced by AI. Again, I don't think this is coming for our industry. I don't think it's going to happen in our industry because we're a very human-centric industry. But AI is going to be a team member. AI is going to be part of what we do. So how can we use it? Here's where we start to look at how you can do this. I've used AI to help hire, to create job descriptions, job postings, all kinds of things. Product development, which I've mentioned before, strategic planning. We just wrapped up last month. We had a day-long board planning session where we had dozens of flip charts all over this room. We commandeered a big conference room at the community college, and we had flip charts everywhere. And by the end of the day, everybody said, "Yeah, we've done a lot of work, and that's great. Russ, take it from here." And if you've ever looked at four walls covered with flip charts and you've seen all this writing and scribbling and in the margins and everything else, and you think, okay, what am I going to do now? I'm going to have to go type this up. And then I got to make sense of it. Oh, nay, nay. I took pictures of every one of those flip charts, loaded it into AI, told AI what this was for, that it was a board strategic planning session, and I wanted it to type, categorize, and analyze all of the entries. It produced a 7-page board report that captured everything they did. I gave it to, this was on a Friday. I gave this to them on a Tuesday. And they're like, "Man, you must have worked all weekend." I said, "Whew, yeah, boy, didn't do anything else this weekend." Obviously, now they know it was AI. But AI saved me so many hours in putting this together. And it helped them because remember what I said, AI is good at one thing, pattern recognition. So when we had board members who were talking about one thing over on one end of the room, and we had board members writing notes about another thing over on the other end of the room, AI was able to take those different notes and put them together and say, "Wait a minute, this is really something we can combine together." And so it started to create synergies there. It was really cool. You can use AI to dig into your calendar or your to-do list and help you prioritize and do those tasks not only in the right order, but at the right time of day. AI can analyze your sleep patterns. AI can analyze your energy patterns so that it's giving you the tougher tasks when you're at your high energy point of the day. And maybe when you're pretty low energy, maybe you're one of those morning people who I hate, and you got lots of energy in the morning, and you start to crash at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It can say, "Well, okay, these are the tasks you need to do in the afternoon." Now, for me, I crank up at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm not very energetic in the morning. So AI can arrange my tasks so that I'm doing the less mentally heavy tasks when I'm not quite fully caffeinated, right? We've used this to create marketing content for our social media platforms. One of our employees runs 6 different social media platforms for us for various projects and programs. And she uses ChatGPT to help her manage that. Now, when it comes to grants, I think this is where AI really shines. I have a bad habit of just flooding our grant writer with emails. We have a development director who I would just send him. I say, "Zach, here, apply for these grants," because I'm reading the headline. I say, "Oh, that looks good," and I throw it over to him. Well, he has to go back through and read all this stuff, and he'll come back to me sometimes and he'll say, "Okay, well, this is for a very narrow thing, or this doesn't fit what we do," and so forth. It's yes, it's for people in our industry, but not in our state. Those kinds of things. So now I still send him all the emails, but he runs everything through AI where he can say, "Okay, this makes sense for us." If you write a grant, don't you want to know what the odds are of getting that grant? If you write that grant, you can feed your grant application into AI along with the NOFA, and it will tell you, are you hitting on all cylinders? Are you checking all the boxes? Or are you way off? It's going to help you improve your grant writing. It's also going to help you improve your grant reporting. When you're sending in those grant reports, are we giving them everything they want? Did we use the money the way we were supposed to use it? Are there any gaps there? Right now, we're using this for policy development. We have a company credit card that has a very low limit on it. It's from our local bank. Well, as you know, most everything we do today is a subscription. So you can't do business unless you subscribe to your software online and all this other stuff. Well, because our limits are so low, it's hard for us to travel. So if I'm trying to put travel on a credit card, I can't do it. So we're looking at, okay, do we upgrade to maybe an American Express or something like that? Well, before we did that, our board wanted me to rewrite our credit card use policy, our travel policy, and our procurement policy. So I fed all of these into ChatGPT, went back and forth a little bit with our CFO, and now we've got we've got a lot further on our policy development than we would have if I'd just been sitting down going line by line and redlining everything. Text writing and editing, this is something simple that, if you're not a great writer, you can become a better writer by letting AI write for you. And I'm going to give you one particular AI that writes really, really well. But here's some other ways that you can do it. What's the number one rule of brainstorming? The number one rule of brainstorming is there are no wrong answers, right? Until you get in a brainstorming session and somebody gives a really stupid idea. And then everybody goes, oh man, that's dumb. Well, it shuts everything down. AI doesn't care. AI has no emotion. You're not going to hurt AI's feelings. You can say, give me 50 ways to do this, or give me 50 names for this, or give me 50 potential remedies for that. It will just throw things at you. And you say, give me 50 more, give me 10 more, give me 10 more, and it will just keep doing it. The difference between your job description and your job posting, one is supposed to be the nice, feel good, come work for us thing. And the other one is supposed to be the scary, here's all the things you are going to have to do when you get here. AI does a great job writing those because it can write those not only in the context of your organization, but in the context of the industry and in the context of your area. Because what are the other companies or organizations out there that are vying for the same talent that you are? You could watch a 30-minute video on the best luggage to pack for an overseas trip, or you could load that 30-minute video into AI, and in 7 seconds, it will spit you out a report, give you the bullet list of the recommendations, and tell you what luggage to buy. I'm going to kind of move on through these a little bit, but again, combining and organizing the handwritten notes, it was great. But let's say that you just really desperately need to talk to Tony Robbins. You need that guru rock star coach. And I will say that Tony Robbins has a way to do that. If you join one of his exclusive groups and pay him $100,000 a year, he will give you his phone number. I have not done that, nor will I. But I can have my AI act like Tony Robbins, and I can talk to it, and it will respond to me as Tony Robbins would respond. Why? Because it's read everything and seen everything that Tony Robbins has ever done. We've got to remember that AI is more of an intern than an expert, which means we can't just ask one question and have it give us everything we need. We've got to think about a conversation with AI. We've got to start thinking in terms of multiple prompts to get that one good answer that we need. And if you go into your conversations expecting AI to be able to do anything a human can do, you're going to get better results. So let's treat it like a colleague or a trainee, which means we're not just going to say, and the example I'm going to use here is, let's say that we need a child to eat his vegetables. He's got a plate of green beans, and we say, you're not getting up from the dinner table until you eat your vegetables. And that kid takes one green bean, pops it in his mouth, and looks at you like, I'm done. Technically, the kid gave you what you asked for. Ate the vegetables. Didn't eat all the vegetables, And so we have to be very clear and specific in how we talk to AI, just like we have to be very clear and specific in how we talk to children. If I tell an intern to go straighten up our filing system, but I don't teach them what our filing system is or how it's done, they could do a great job. They could also do a disastrous job. You can ask AI to cite its sources and it will give you better results. If it knows you're going to check its homework, it will give you better product. If you think it's wrong, you say, I don't think this is right. Can you do this again? Show me your homework. Prove that this is the right answer or the best answer. And I always ask for more. This is great. Can you tell me more about why you did this or how you did this? Can you tell me more about what we should do next? Always ask for more, and it will just give you better and better answers. Now, I will say there have been times when, believe it or not, it's just continuously given me really bad output. And somebody told me to do this. I didn't believe it, but I do believe it now. They said, be the AI cheerleader. So after getting output after output that was just suboptimal, it was not good, I said, look, this is not your best work. I believe in you. I know you can do better than this. I'm counting on you. Give me your best and don't hold back. Boom. Got the best answer possible. Don't know why. I'm still scared about that to this day, but it worked. It worked. We don't want to treat it like a fancy search engine because it's not. We're not going to say, give me a meatball recipe. What we might say instead is, I have a friend who lived in Italy for 5 years. He's coming over for dinner this weekend. I want to create a homemade meal from scratch that's going to knock his socks off and make him think he's back in Naples. And I want you to give me a recipe for meatballs, meat sauce, all the sides that go with this. What's the best wine pairing for this? Produce a shopping list to feed 6 people and give me step-by-step instructions like Blue Apron or HelloFresh so that I can walk through this and prepare it step by step. And I might even tell it, you are a famous Italian chef with a recipe, with a reputation for making food fun and simple, even for non-chefs. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of personality there, but don't just ask it a question and get an answer and move on. That's never going to be your best bet. Don't take the output at face value. I will say that it's really good at pattern recognition. It's not so great at complex math. So if you're asking it for some complex math, you may want to ask it, do it again, make sure you're right. This is not insignificant. AI is going to be with us. It's going to be here. And the way this works is we prompt it. It gives us something that we don't particularly care for, or it's not great. We're going to correct it. It's going to give us better output. And it's learning throughout this whole cycle. It's learning the whole time. Now, one of the things that you might hear is that every time you prompt it, it's destroying the environment. It's using tons of water. It's using tons of electricity. It uses, even very long and complex prompts use maybe less than a half a thimble of water. It takes more energy overall to produce a hamburger than it does to use AI for a week. And that's in really intense coding situations. So yes, it is your impact is multiplied by billions, but it's not the doomsday scenario that some people want us to believe. In fact, as most technology, it's just getting cheaper to run. Google lowered the energy required to answer you by 30 times this year over last year. Not by 30%. It's not 30% more efficient. It's 30 times more efficient than it was. In fact, it's 33 times more efficient than it was last year. So the technology is getting better in terms of being able to be more efficient. If I asked everybody in here a really complex math problem, it would take you a while to do the math, and it would take a lot of energy, a lot of brain power to do that. But then if I start asking you simpler and simpler math questions, you're going to be able to pop those answers off pretty quickly because you know the answer. You've done it before. It uses less energy. But ChatGPT has sick days. There are times when it becomes disconnected. There are people who are bad actors who try to infect it, try to hack it. It does get stressed from overworking. This is why we have, data centers being built and coming online every week in this country. It's been accused of a lack of creativity. Yes, it's not quite there yet in terms of creativity, but we can make it more creative. If we're just asking it a Google question, it's not going to be very creative at all. Sometimes it has trouble following directions and makes promises it can't keep. If you ever ask it for information or ask it to do a task and it says, give me 15 minutes and I'll get back to you, what it's saying is, I can't do this, but it doesn't want to say, I can't do this. It will lie to you to make you happy. It becomes sycophantic. It just wants to please. So instead of saying, you've asked me for something that I can't do for you, it will tell you what it thinks you want to hear. You're going to leave and you're going to come back in 15 minutes or half an hour. It's not going to be done. It just can't do it. So change the prompt. We can cut it down into bite-sized chunks and things like that. So when we think about ChatGPT, it has a lot of new kids on the block. And I'm going to run down through these really quickly, tell you what I like, what I don't like, what I recommend. And I'm going to give you some prompts that you can use. Perplexity is great if you're shopping, if you need to show the homework, if you need up-to-date search-like queries, if you need to know where that answer came from. Perplexity will not only give you book, chapter, and verse for where it found the information you need, but it will also ask you more prompting questions. If you've asked about this, let's dig a little bit deeper. Here's some questions you might also want to ask about this. For us at Sequoia Fund, Copilot is getting ready to be the king of all AI because it plays nicely. It integrates with our security systems, with all the software that we have running right now. We use the Microsoft 365 environment. Again, the security is good. It's not really where we want it to be, but it's getting there. It integrates with our Outlook and our OneDrive and things like that, so we don't have to be moving as many documents into it. Gemini is a Google product. Gemini is really easy to use. If you have kids right now in school, the Gemini Pro 2.5, what's called Gemini 2.5 Flash, their smartest version, is free right now for students. So look at that. If you've got a college student, turn them on to Gemini, because that $20 a month, $240 a year version is free for them right now. And it screams, man. It's got some great speed, and it's really, really good. It's tied into the Google ecosystem, so it just does a lot of really cool things. If you want to try out a lot of things in one place, a lot of different tools, Poe is the place to go. You can sign up for free, and you can get a lot of the different AI tools for free, but you don't have to be switching tabs and all this other stuff. It's all right there. Grok is technically it's called XAI. The artist formerly known as Twitter. I don't use this for work-related things, but in terms of doing research, in terms of doing trip planning and things like that, in terms of image creation, image generation is fantastic with Grok. If you don't want your information being shared and you don't want your information training AI, Lumo is a good way to go. Lumo is private. It's a little bit slower than the other AI, but it's good stuff. It works. If you need something that writes really, really well, that writes like a human, that sounds like a human wrote it, it just needs a little more empathy. It needs a little more oomph. Claude is fantastic. I love Claude. Don't know why I put Grok on there twice. I meant to put something else on there, but I want to go from the bottom up on this right side. You may have heard of DeepSeek. DeepSeek is a Chinese product. I do not recommend it. The security is horrendous. It will start to get into a lot of software that it has no business being into. Now, on the bright side, if you want to use it on a home computer that is attached to nothing else, DeepSeek can do some really cool things that other AI can't do. It gives you really good answers, but I don't like it. Tech people don't like it. Governments don't like it. Um, Quinn is great. Quinn does a lot of things that other AIs do, but let's say you've got some old family photos that are cracked, that are faded. Quinn has a fantastic image enhancement application. You can scan those images in and it will recolorize them. It will take out the cracks and all the things. It's so cool. Um, if you use Bing as your primary search engine, you have ChatGPT built in. You don't need anything else. Um, if you need to create slides, the next three are going to be critical for you. Slides, creating data for slides, putting together presentations, Gamma, Canva, and GenSpark. Fantastic. That's where they really shine. Finally, there's Notebook LM. I use Notebook LM because Notebook LM does not share your data, nor does it pull data from the outside. Okay. It doesn't share your data outside and it doesn't pull anything from the outside. It gives you buckets where you can create a notebook and you can drop in documents, you can drop in websites, you can drop in audio files, you can drop in YouTube videos, whatever it is that you want to do, you put it all in that notebook and that becomes its data set. That becomes the thing that it learns from. And you don't have to. So when we're redoing our policy manual, I drop the policy manual into Notebook LM. It doesn't go anywhere. Nothing comes in to do anything with that data. It all stays right there, and that's what we interact with. So I do highly recommend Notebook LM. And if you have kids who are trying to learn something, it's great for topical learning because if you have an auditory learner or a visual learner, it will actually take the data that you drop into the notebook and it will create a video and or it will create a podcast so that they can listen to it and they can learn from that as well. So you're going to get a prompting cheat sheet. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but the thing that I want to focus on is that if we don't give it context and if we're not specific, we're not going to get out of it what we want. We need to put some guardrails on it and say, this is what I want you to do. I want you to give it to me in this format. And then we ask it, what else do you need? Ask me questions if you need more information to complete this task. When we do that, it gives us better results than just, I need a meatball recipe. I want everybody to be thinking about AI as a strategic partner, not just to get busy work done, but to become our thought partners, to become our coaches, especially in the CDFI world. Things are changing all the time. How do we deal with certain situations? How do we deal with policy changes? How do we deal with client interactions? How do we deal with employee interactions? How does it help us solve problems? It's going to become part of our team. It's going to integrate in ways that human creativity, it's going to enhance that creativity. It's not going to replace it. And knowing when to lean on AI and when to trust our own instinct and intuition is going to be really important. We've got to be able to know that this is not something I want AI to do. So here are some of the ways that we've used AI. We've used it to communicate more clearly. I did tell you I was going to give you an example of this. I believe AI saved my job last week. I sent a text to our board. We were frustrated because we could not get a meeting together, and it was a meeting that the board had asked for. And so I sent a text, and I got a little snippy, but it got everybody's attention. And the meeting started to happen. One of the board members came back at me and was unhappy. And I said, okay, if I respond to her the way I want to respond to her, this will be my last day at Sequoia Fund. So I need to be more diplomatic. And I had AI write the response. And it was so diplomatic and so nice. And it said everything that needed to be said. And when I sent it to her, her response was, thank you so much for hearing me. I appreciate this. Have a great day. So I'm absolutely certain it stepped in and saved the day. But when you're looking at creating speeches, letters, slide decks, anything like that, it does a great job. It will help us adapt to change. Some of us don't like change. Some of us thrive on it. But you can say, I'm facing blank, and here are my fears and concerns. Help me with a strategy for mitigating that, getting over that. How do I get comfortable with this? What would you do in my shoes? I've had conversations with AI, and it tells me, here's how you do this. Here's what I would do. What would you do if you were me? So I want it to actually now put itself in my shoes, where I've been putting myself in the AI shoes. Again, not an exhaustive list, but these are just some of the things that we've used AI for. So at this point, if you've got some questions, I want you to start dropping those questions in the chat. We've got just a few minutes left. I'm going to pause here in just a second. We've used AI to help our clients. You're going to get all of these slides. Um, uh, we've we've helped them improve their business plans. Nobody wants to hear that they have an ugly baby, right? I mean, nobody wants to hear that. But sometimes people bring in a business plan that it's a pretty ugly baby. It may not be an ugly baby, but it's not a great picture of the baby, and we want to help them improve that. And again, sometimes it comes down to they're just not a great writer, or they're missing a key piece of research, or there's something that's missing. We can use AI to augment that. I don't want people writing AI business plans and bringing them to us for a business loan. And we can even run their business plan through AI to see how much of it was written by AI. That's kind of important too. It'll brainstorm business names. A lot of people start with a business name and want to build a business, and we've just kind of we've said, look, we got other ways we can do this. So again, we're using this in a lot of different ways. The toughest crowd that I have spoken to is my own staff. There's a lot of skepticism there. There's a lot of doubt. Some of our older some of our older employees have seen 2001: A Space Odyssey. If you haven't, that's a 1968 version of what AI looks like in the future. And it's a little scary, but again, our job is not to be afraid of it, but to figure out how to use it, when to use it, what to do with it. And finally here, before I jump into the questions, I've got some prompts that, again, you're going to get these. These are some prompts that I highly recommend you try. Use these. You can upload your financials. You can upload your budget versus actual. It'll give you something to do this afternoon to kind of test the waters and see what this looks like. And it will help you create some reports for your board. It was what I call our strikeout analysis. We did not get the grant. So how do we do better next time? What happens there? And then to create some free offers for your community. If you need how to use credit, how important is credit? How do you help your teenager manage money better? Whatever it is, whatever ideas you can come up with, have this create you some little downloadable PDFs, put those on the website. That starts to add value to your community. So one of the questions that we had, and it's a great question, Bobby, thank you so much. This is one of the ones that we get all the time, and that's talking about data sovereignty and integrating AI with client data, cultural programs, and even traditional knowledge systems. Fantastic question, and I was really hoping somebody would bring this up today. I've said this time and time again, and for 2 years I've said this, and I still stick to my guns on this. If the only thing AI knows about Native America is what it learned from 75 years of cowboy and Indian movies in Hollywood, it is going to be biased. AI is not stupid and AI is not malicious. It is only trained, and it's trained on certain things. So it's trained on what people gave it. They didn't know what else to give it. And so that's what it learned. Now, there are two ways that we can look at this. One is we can go into our settings in ChatGPT, and we can turn off the feature that shares our data or our chats with the outside world. There will be no training on the data that we put in there. That's one way to handle it. The other is to actually interact with it in ways that don't jeopardize our client data, but to help train AI. And I'll give you one specific example. I was putting together a presentation, and I needed, this was for the Cherokee High School, and I needed a picture that does not exist in reality. I wanted a picture that showed a young man on his first job, in college, early career, and then farther along in his career. That one same young man moving through that in one image. And the first few images were very inappropriate, stereotypical. And that's the conversation that I had with AI to say, look, this is not the way we're going to do this. Do better, change this. We are able to train it. We're able to train it. to a degree. Now, when we start talking about client data, the big word here is anonymization. We've got to make sure that none of our client data, that personally identifiable information, is not getting out there into the world. So if I'm going to scan in a document to use it for AI, I'm going to black out everything. I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to black it out. Then I'm going to scan it into AI. There are some new software programs out there. There's one being developed here in Durham, North Carolina, that I wasn't really thrilled with when it came on the scene back during COVID, but I'm really liking it now. And I may start to talk more about that in the future as I test it out. But it is SOC 2 compatible. What it does is you feed all your client data in there, and it scrapes that PII out, and it gives you reports based on the information, but not necessarily having to do with anything client related. So there's no demographic, income, social security, address. It scrapes the tax forms and all that other stuff. So there is some software that's coming out there that I'm going to be talking more about, as probably in the next year, that I think does a good job with that. But you're asking the right question, and we've got to keep that right at the front of our brains, because if we let it slip, something's going to happen, and bad things can happen. We don't want our client information getting out there in the world. All right, so if you want today's slide deck, here is you're going to get the recording too from Owista, but here is the slide deck prompt, the link. Also, I've got a prompting cheat sheet for you that's going to give you more things than we gave you in the slide decks today. It's AI prompting 2025, and this is all case sensitive. Don't put any capital letters in here. If you're interested in having an on-site or in-person AI workshop for your staff, if you're interested in doing this, we've done this with Owista before. We did it right at the beginning of the year, and be more than happy to put something together. We just want to get some feedback. Hey, Sheila, how you doing? Great to see you here. How reliable is AI to provide an AI policy to our native CDFI? Okay, I know nothing about writing an AI policy, but I know somebody who is, and that's ChatGPT. We're in the process right now, because we realized that with like a lot of technology, people were kind of doing their own thing. Same thing with cell phones and other types of technology in the past. Where are you storing your documents? Well, I'm using Google Drive, and I'm using Outlook or OneDrive, and all this. We had to kind of homogenize everything and bring it into one space. So we're doing that now with AI, and so we're putting the guardrails on the road. And the way we're doing it is we're using AI to help us put together an AI integration plan, an AI use plan, and an AI use policy. And one thing that we're looking forward to in putting all of this together, Sheila, is that we're not just putting together a policy for us, but we're going to go public with our policy. One of the worst things that I can imagine happening is that we use AI to help us in our work with clients, and then word gets out on the street that we're doing that. People start to make assumptions, and they're going to assume the worst. We don't want that to happen. So we're going to be very public with our AI policy. We're going to let people know this is how we're using it, because we want you to feel protected as our client, as our community. We want to know that we want you to know we're protecting your information, and we're not going to go beyond these bounds in using AI. So yeah, while we might use AI to help you brainstorm a business name, or put together a project list for you're borrowing $50,000 to do some projects around the house. Well, what order do you need to do those? That's easy. But in loans, in decision making, things like that, we have to be very careful, but we also want to be very open about it. Folks, make sure you grab these documents. Make sure you hang on to these, and make sure you open that email from Owista that's going to give you the slide deck from today. I'm a little bit over. I apologize for that. I want to get you back to work on time. But if you want to keep in touch and you have any other questions about AI, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Just give me a call. You can send me an email on my personal email, and I'll answer any questions you have. And look forward to working with Owista as we go forward and try to figure out better ways for all of us native CDFIs to use AI in a very productive way. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Russ. These were valuable insights and helpful best practices. And thank you all for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your day.